Hello. It is Friday. Phew, thank goodness. I am about a minute or two late here, and I gotta tell you why. First, um, if you haven't met me before, my name is Julie Hirschberg. I'm the owner of Re+active Physical Therapy and Wellness here in the Los Angeles area. And I just did a live video on our Instagram feed with one of my friends and fellow amazing PTs, Mike Studer. And we did an announcement to talk about a course that we're doing and collaboration that we're doing for a lot of our learning. And at the end of this live session, he surprised me and everybody else, but he shared that for this course that we're doing, it's called Neuropracticity 3.0, that for every person that signs up for the live course, that he will be donating $100 to our nonprofit that's starting in 2021 called Resources for Hope. He did not share that with me before we went live, and it so overwhelmed me with emotion that I have been using my tissue over here. It was very generous. So if you know Mike Studer, if you see Mike Studer, what a very generous soul, and I'm very thankful for him. So anyway, I'm hopping in here on our Facebook Live just after getting that news and really overwhelmed with how thankful I am for amazing colleagues who support people with neurologic disorders and helping people get the care they need. So anyway, welcome to my Friday, and welcome to this live topic today, which has just been a theme at Re+active this month, and in our Brain Bite session. So first, at Re+active, we spend a lot of time learning, and you probably knew that because we come in here every week to talk about what we've learned. And on Wednesday mornings, as a team, we talk through tough cases, we practice techniques. The last month or so, we've been talking a lot about pain. And it seems like a lot of the people that we work with neurologic disorders also might experience an orthopedic injury or may have pain. And I'm sure you've seen this too. And if you're like us, you're trying to kind of decipher and peel away the layers of this. And it can be really tricky. And I've had people reach out again with questions. So things like, what about pain when you have a shoulder subluxation? What about radiculopathies and a neurologic diagnosis? What about shoulder and leg pain after you've had a stroke? What about spasms and back pain after a spinal cord injury? Shoulder pain, back pain, these are heavy hitters. We're going to actually talk a little bit about back pain today. So it's such a big topic, and we're just going to get a piece of it today. I'm so thankful to Brittany Kim. If you don't know her, she's part of our education team here with me, a big collaborator, and she is an orthopedic specialist that's always worked in the neuro world. She's a huge force on our Re+active team and her Brain Bites community to help simplify some of these orthopedic issues in neurology. And I'm really excited to discuss some of the ways she's helped simplify it for us. We're going to talk a simple process for breaking down pain in neuro. We're going to talk about simple tricks that and tips that you can use for the orthopedic problems in the neurologic population, and specifically in telehealth. And we're going to give you a little process for low back pain in Parkinson's. This is probably one of the biggest things people ask us about. So as a disclaimer, by the way, this is not a substitute for medical advice. And you'll hear me say this a lot. You know, if you're looking at this as a person who's experiencing some of this, I highly recommend you see a specialist for your individual case. So let's dive in. Let's start with this simple process for breaking down pain in neuro. Now, if you're in the orthopedic world, you're doing this all of the time. let me tell you, in the neuro world, I can go all day and nobody has pain. That's not the major issue for people. So, and when they do, it's overlaid and complicated with many other disorders. So, one of the things that Brittany Kim has done really nicely is to break down into some step-by-step process. So first step when somebody's presenting with pain is to identify the pain type and the pain generator. So I'll go through those in a little more detail. Second step, identify some of those biomechanical pieces underlying the pain problem, because we don't just want a band-aid, right? We want to get to the underlying piece. And then number three, and this is what I think we do a lot of in the neuro world anyway, is to identify psychosocial, other lifestyle factors that might be contributing to pain symptoms. So let's go 1 and 2, just very briefly. 1, pain type. So this is what we've been doing together in our reactive group and our brain bite group, is hypothesizing when we read through a case, when we meet somebody, that pain type. Is it nociceptive or more of a mechanical type pain? By the way, this is based off of a really great article by Smart in 2010. Love this article. Nociceptive, more of the mechanical type pain. Peripheral neuropathic, so this is more of that nervy type pain. Or is it more of a central pain, which is usually a little more widespread, not mechanical, very more brainy side of things. And really what we typically see is all three, and it's just like which percentage. So we like pie charts. It's really like which percentage is more nociceptive, peripheral neuropathic, or central pain. And last night in our Brain Bites group, we added a fourth in there because in Parkinson's disease, you can also have Parkinson's specific pain that's driven from the diagnosis or the disorder itself and its effect on the basal ganglia and some of the other pathways and connections in the brain, and it might be responsive to the dopaminergic medication. So just to make things more complex, right? So looking at the pain type with the person in front of you, and then going into those three categories of pain generators. So is it a local pain generation? So that pain source is actually where it hurts. You can kind of just poke it and it reproduces it. And this is often where we get some of those special tests in therapy to reproduce that pain or take away that pain locally. So local is one of them. Referred is the second. So the pain source is somewhere else and it's referred. So often discs and joints and radicular symptoms are referred. Or is it systemic? So this happens a lot, and it's something in the body system is off. So endocrine issue, medication effects, maybe it's cancer, maybe it's cardiovascular. So those are really important things that we always have to screen when we look at somebody presenting with pain. So we identified the pain type: nociceptive, peripheral neuropathic, central pain, maybe PD specific pain. So we have 4 categories. Then we look at the pain generators: local, referred, and systemic. So these are things that we have to screen, right? So that gets us to this like pretty simplified process for breaking down and getting to the underlying piece of pain. I really love some of the things that Brittany Kim has put together as tips for telehealth in the neurologic population when dealing with pain too. So sometimes just the simplest of the subjective questions takes you such a long way. Very, very simply, where does it hurt? And in telehealth, just like in person, that person can point exactly to it. What makes it hurt? So I love these 3 questions: where, what, and how long. What makes it hurt? And what's really nice on telehealth is that we can actually have the person do that movement in their bed or on their couch or on their floor to show us, and then the length of time for that for that pain. So those subjective exam questions in the telehealth setting can be really, really helpful. Another thing that we've been reviewing is how can we really provide some of that self-manual therapy to a person in telehealth. And what's been really nice is Brittany's recorded some videos for us of self-mobilization. So there's some really great techniques with towels, like a self-snag for the neck. I really love the two, in fact, I thought maybe I had one here, the two little tennis balls together as a really great thoracic mobilization tool. So we practiced those together this week and how to instruct those over telehealth. Brittany recommended, the tennis ball or lacrosse ball as a mobilization technique, putting that into a sock so you could throw it over your shoulder, use it on the wall. You can place it a little easier that way. I thought that was a great little tip for some of those things that you might consider more hands-on. For managing some orthopedic, joint, and soft tissue mobility issues, but that you can do really well on telehealth. And I don't know about you, but in the midst of this pandemic, we've been doing a lot of telehealth, and we've had to get really creative, like many of you, I think. So those were some simple tips for using both a subjective and some simple manual therapy pieces in telehealth. Now I want to transition to the third piece because this has come up so much, and that's a process for really looking at low back pain in Parkinson's specifically. And we did a course on this, Brittany and I, and we're going to be doing it again this year, by the way. All of the courses that we do for our fellowship we put online for people, so you can sign up for those. They're really kind of advanced neurologic therapy courses. And one of them is on posture and pain in Parkinson's. And we use this little diagram here. So when a person presents with back pain in Parkinson's, it is complicated by the fact that there's often a postural change as well. And in this little algorithm, it helps kind of discern and peel away how we would understand what's causing that. So if somebody has a shift in their posture forward or to the side, very common in Parkinson's, the first question we ask is, do they have pain? And because you might have that change in posture and not actually have pain. So if they have pain, we do those two things. So determine the pain source, right? So just the same that we talked about, the nociceptive, peripheral neuropathic, central pain, and Parkinson's related pain. Determine the pain source, and then determine the postural pain connection. And that's where we go over here and look at what's underlying it. Is there a dopaminergic response here? Is there a sensory component? Maybe there is some dystonia. Is there muscle weakness? And even dysautonomia can be contributing to the postural part and the pain. These are things that we may not be thinking of in a typical, pure, more orthopedic pain case. And in Parkinson's, these are the complex factors. So we have to first distinguish, is that pain that nociceptive, peripheral neuropathic, central, or Parkinson's related? And then look at the underlying factors. Dopaminergic response, so that might be medication or intense exercise, sensory or dystonia underlying it, muscle weakness, and dysautonomia. So because we did this for a course, we actually did create this algorithm and you can download it. I'll put a link in here. It's helpful if you're trying to figure out sometimes chicken or the egg, like did the posture come first or the pain, and then start to be able to test out and ultimately be able to treat it, because I believe that all people with Parkinson's should be able to move freely without pain. And I believe that for all people with neurologic disorders, which is why we're diving into this. And we've been diving in all month at Re+active in our Brain Bites group. And thank you for joining me today in taking this little neuro ortho dive. So I'm going to throw a link in here with the link to this little cheat sheet that you can download for yourself. So that's our low back pain cheat sheet here for you. So I'll put that in the comments. I also will put in the comments, because I started out today talking about the big announcement from Mike Studer, which actually made me a little bit late today because I was crying because I was so overwhelmed. Because we're doing a course with Mike Studer, and he generously announced that that he would donate for people signing up for that course to our new nonprofit. So I'll put a link to that course because it's coming up in March, and there's $200 off right now for that course until January 1st. And Mike Studer will be donating $100 for each person that signs up. Pretty amazing. And then I'll put one other link in here as well, because if you're interested in learning with us with our fellowship courses, so you want to dive in deeper to the things that we talk about here into movement disorders, we have a series of 6 courses throughout the year. Get them all together. You can join live, you can watch them recorded, and our very first one is coming up in January, on January 7th, and it's on differential diagnosis. We are also going to have a course on the posture and pain in Parkinson's. So this is a little piece of that course, by the way. And then we will have courses throughout the year on advanced neurology topics. So if you're interested in that, I put a link in here so that you can check out those courses for next year. So hi Suki, she said that's amazing. I think that was for Mike's generosity. Isn't it amazing? I mean, I'm still kind of in awe because that was a surprise to me, a shock to me, and I'm just so thrilled. We've been able to fundraise much more this year than ever for people who might have a financial need for specialty services in neurology, like we have at our clinic. So that's physical therapy, occupational therapy, yoga therapy, exercise, personal training. We have a psychologist starting, and we're going to be able to do sliding scale for that as well, because of people like Mike and all of the therapists that have joined our Brain Bites. Half of that actually goes to fundraise for these pro bono services. So I'm so very, very thankful. Thank you for joining me today, and I will catch you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.